Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to my channel, to my bookland, and to our coffee times together. So in today's video, I'm here to talk to you about some of the highest rated books on Goodreads.
It's coffee time!
Specifically, it is about horror books. I did a video about the highest rated, like average rating thrillers on Goodreads, and I asked if you would like to see something similar based on horror books, and some of you were interested, so I am here to deliver. I've put together a list of 15 books that are all horror, and they have some of the highest average ratings. Now, in order to keep it fair, I only chose the highest rated book from Stephen King because he has multiple, and so this video would be only highest rated books from Stephen King. That could be another idea for a video, so if you would like to see the highest rated Stephen King books, let me know down below. I can definitely make that happen as well. And now let's start. First, let's have some coffee. While doing this list, I realized most of these books have been turned into movies, which is not weird because the most popular books are the ones that are being turned into movies normally. But I was curious to see that some of these books that were mentioned, I've watched the movie but I have not read the book yet, so it would be a perfect opportunity now for me to pick up the book. On the first position, we have Stephen King's The Green Mile with a total of 4.44 average rating. And this book originally was published in 6 different volumes that came out monthly, and it broke records because it was the first time that so many books in a row made it into the best-selling list of the New York Times. Another really interesting thing about this book is that if you didn't know, Stephen King got the inspiration for this story from a real true crime story. A 14-year-old, which is the youngest person to have ever been executed on the electric chair, a boy of color of 14 years old, was charged with the murder of 2 girls that were living in his neighborhood, but you know, he was kind of forced to confess, and they, you know, did the trial super fast, executing him super fast because they just wanted to, you know, end that. And you know, a couple of years ago, I believe that that's when they revisited his case and decided that there was not enough proof to charge him with the crimes. Great. So Stephen King took this story but changed obviously the age, because probably executing a 14-year-old in a book was also not the best idea. So he, you know, told the story about people that are on death row, and specifically this guy of color, that it is a very big guy, but he has like the mentality of a child, and he's very good-hearted. And this movie was fantastic. It's one of the best adaptations from Stephen King's books. Next, we have Swan by Robert R. McCammon with 4.28 average rating. Now, this is a book that I have not read, but now I've put on my list of books to read ASAP because I love the idea of this book. We're living in a world where basically our world as we know it has been destroyed by nuclear power, and everything is kind of, you know, a wasteland and monsters, and there's this evil man that is trying to find a kid, a girl that has a very specific power, and she's called Swan. This sounds like something that I would really enjoy, so I must pick this one up. Next, we have The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris, and this is actually book 2 on Hannibal Lecter, and we have here an average rating of 4.18. And we all know the story, we all love the movie, I hope, because it is a great movie. We're following the story of a young FBI agent that she's trying to catch a serial killer, and in order to do so, she interviews this psychopath to try to figure out how the minds work and catch the serial killer that she's trying to catch. Next, we have The Exorcist for William Peter Blatty, and this got an average rating of 4.17. and this book was originally published in the 70s, and it was so popular, like for years it was like one of the best sellers, and it is based on an exorcism that was performed on the 40s on this young girl called Regan. And I believe also everybody has watched this movie, and if not, please do so. It was one of the first horror movies that I ever watched, so always will have a special place in my heart. This book was very controversial when it came out, and just after 2 years of publication it was turned into a movie, and definitely if you have not checked either the book or the movie, I can recommend you both. Next, and also with a 4.17 rating, we have Watchers by Dean Koontz. So we're following here basically a story where the government has created these creatures. They've created like a dog with special abilities, and they've created kind of like a hybrid monster, and suddenly they escape and they are on the loose. So this is a great story if you love horror combined with a little bit of sci-fi. Next we have House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski with a 4.11 average rating. This is another one that I have not read, but I've had on my list since forever, and this is a story about a family that moves into a house that apparently is bigger on the inside than it looks on the outside. And this is a book that the edition always has attracted me as well so much, and it's definitely one that I still need to get to, so I hope that I'm able to do that soon. Next we have The Witching Hour by Anne Rice, which is the first book on the My Fair Witches, and this got an average rating of 4.11, and we're following a dynasty of witches in New Orleans. And what can I say, I love Anne Rice's writing. I think the way that she has to introduce the characters and the character development, it is amazing. She also is great at world building. You're always completely immersed into her stories, and if you love witches and you have not checked this yet, you should. Next we have Nosferatu by Joe Hill with 4.7 average rating, and I absolutely love this story. The first time that I read it, it was actually in graphic novel format, and it's about these creepy kids that are taken by this creepy guy in his 1938 car, and we go into this Christmas land, and when we get there we realize it's a very, you know, different kind of Christmas land, kind of evil and creepy. This has now been turned also into a TV series that I sadly cannot watch from here, but I definitely want to check out because Zachary Quinto is also in it and I freaking love him. So if you're looking for a good Christmas horror story, So if you're looking for a great horror Christmas story, this might be it for you. The book is very chunky, but you still have the graphic novel as well if you want to do that. Then we have Dan Simmons with The Terror with an average rating of 4.6, and this is something for people that love stories like The Thing, because we're following a crew of explorers that are walking through ice, and the leader basically dies and everybody is left to survive, and it is a great horror book with a lot of atmosphere, and it feels really wintry, so it's also perfect now for the season. Next we have I Am Legend by Richard Matheson with 4.6. This is a short book and I loved it. It is about the last man alive on Earth after an apocalypse. So basically everybody in the world has turned into a vampire except this guy. So he is not only the only man alive, he's also a vampire hunter, and he's kind of bunkered into his house and he's trying to survive every day as he can, but how long can he survive like this? This is a case where I read the book, I really loved it, and I have no desire to watch the movie. So there's that. Then we have Let the Right One In with 4.6 average rating, and for this I watched the movie and loved it. The original Swedish movie. This is a Swedish book, and it is about a body of a 12-year-old that is found dead and emptied of blood, and then there is this kid whose, you know, neighbor moves in, and it's this creepy girl that he can only see her going out at night, and they kind of develop a friendship, and I absolutely love this story. It's one of my favorite vampire stories because it's so different and it's so raw and so real, and I absolutely loved it. Then we have The Passage by Justin Cronin with 4.4 average rating, and this is a trilogy. I do own the first book. I've been meaning to get to it for forever, and the problem is you know, it's a big investment because there are 3 chunky books, but I really want to check it out. And it's basically, there is a breach on security on the government, and there is some experiment that gets loose, and this triggers an apocalypse, and by the next day everything has changed on Earth as we know it. I love post-apocalyptic scenarios, and I've heard really good things about this book, but I still have not got to it. Then we have The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker with 4.4 average rating, and this is a novel that inspired the movie Hellraiser. So the story is pretty similar. It's about Frank that finds this box and he opens it, and well, things don't go really well for him after that. And Hellraiser is one of my favorite horror movies as well, because I just love how gory but how lovely it is. My favorite part, even though it's kind of controversial, is part 2. I think most people love the first movie better, and I understand, but I don't know, I just love the development of the character of Julia in part 2, as well as all the Cenobites and everything that we get to see. But if you love the movies, you should definitely give the book a try. Next is Perfume, Story of a Murder by Patrick Suskind with a 4.2 average rating. I read the book, I watched the movie and loved both, and it is about this boy that discovers that he has a talent. He's very good with smells, but you know, this takes him a little bit too far, and he starts to collect the perfume from human bodies. And it is a great story about serial killers, and I love that it's bringing something more unique and interesting into the, you know, kind of serial killer story, and it's not just another typical story. So if you're looking for something that includes a serial killer but that it has a different tone, it is a bit more unique of a story, you need to check this one out. And the last one is World War Z by Max Brooks with a 4.1 average rating. I watched the movie, I thought it was okay, but I have not read the book yet. So if you've read the book, let me know down below. Is it good? Is it better than the movie? Is it worth a try? So basically, we're here in a post-apocalyptic world in which we've been invaded by zombies, and we're trying to fight back as humanity. And like I said, I did enjoy the movie, but I thought it was just okay. It was not my favorite or anything, but I do like zombie stories. So let me know if the book is, you know, really better than the movie. And these were 15 books that have some of the highest average ratings on Goodreads. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found a couple of horror books that maybe you didn't know of, or that maybe you wanted to read but you forgot about, or maybe some winter read to add to your TBR. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate all your support. Please let me know down below which are some of your favorite horror books. Let me know in the comments down below. And also, please remember, give the video a big thumbs up for support. Subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber yet, and hit the notification bell. I also have Goodreads, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The link to those can be found in the description box down below. And I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!